world! Welcome everybody, welcome everyone. Today we have with us Lincoln Gregor. Lincoln Gregor is a channel for the higher self-consciousness. He expands his consciousness into the non-physical reality nearly every day. He's got more than over 2,000 videos just to help us to connect more with our conscious life. We have all within ourselves an inner power that guides us towards a total realization. During our awakening, our higher self will be awakened and we will be guided all from within. Welcome and good day, Lincoln.
Thank you, Ilsa. Yeah, I appreciate being on your show again.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your time and your contribution in AnaAkun. A curiosity, as involved and aware of the non-physical reality as you are, how much sleep do you need, and are you constantly aware as well when you sleep? So do you have a 24-hour awareness every day? If so, where do you go when your body is at rest, or what do you do during your sleeping time? Interesting, yeah?
Yeah.
Good question.
Yeah, it's a very good question. I do sleep. I enjoy sleep. When I sleep, I go to different places. Oftentimes, I'll just go into a place of open space and emptiness. And then after I'm in that place of emptiness, then I'll emerge into like a dreamlike experience as I come back into the physical body. There have been times where I've interacted with other non-physical beings and gone to places, especially when I was younger. There was a lot of non-physical interactions with other beings. But for me, it's usually just going into like a deep, spacious state. Sometimes I go into that deep, spacious state and then everything just stops. There's just no consciousness appearing. There's just no experience happening. And you can feel a lag of time when then you come back into this space, and then the dreaming mind appears, and then you come back into the physical body. So for me, I enjoy sleep. I enjoy just being in that nothingness space. I'm not always doing things. I'm not always going places, and I'm not even trying to dream. So when I dream, it's more just like an observational dream, and then I come back into the physical rather quickly. I have had experiences like lucid dreams where you interact with your dreams and you decide what you want to do with them, but that really doesn't interest me because it's just your own creation. Dreams are very easy to create with. It's more challenging to create in the physical world, so that's more interesting for me. It's more complicated of an experience. Yeah, for me, it's very much about just surrendering and trusting the natural process. Like it's like surrendering to the will of God, you could call it. So when I fall asleep at night, I'm just in an open, relaxed state of awareness, looking forward to going into that open, spacious feeling, that darkness. And sometimes while I'm in that state, experiences will arise naturally. It's not my personal mind trying to go somewhere or do something, but when those experiences arise, they're just in like natural harmony with what's supposed to happen.
Okay. It's not really that you expect something from before you go to sleep.
No, yeah. I have had lots of experiences over my lifetime. So when I was younger, I was like 13, maybe 14. And I know I just started driving a car. So for about maybe 2 years, say from 14 to 16, I would have premonitional dreams and I would perceive the future. I would perceive an event before it would happen. And they're always unique. I didn't understand it at first when it was happening, but I would be with my friends usually, or I would be in a social experience with kids my age, and sometimes with kids I never knew. And then a few days later, maybe a week or two later, it would happen that I would actually have the same experience unfolding in my life. And it would be unique. Like I'd be in a location that I only ever went to one time in my whole life. Or something would happen that was totally uncharacteristic. So when you're having the dream, it seems like it's a dream, but it feels very real. And then when it actually happens in the physical world a few days or weeks later, then the event was surreal, but it actually happened. I'll give one example.
Yeah.
So when I was younger, I would travel with a team in my school. There was a club in my school, and we would go to competitions where you would do a speech. You would give a speech about a community service project you did. And so I would go to these different conferences, usually twice a year, and present about my community service project. and my closest friends were in the group, and we'd all go to the hotel together and go to the conference rooms and stay in a hotel room and that. So there was a time when we were with some friends from a different school as well, and we were in the hotel room together, and one of my closest friends looked behind or beside the hotel bed, and on the floor, he pulled out a gigantic sombrero. So a gigantic, like a big straw hat from Mexico, a gigantic sombrero, a huge one, like a play one. And he put it on his head, and, we all had fun. We were like 14 at the time or so. So I dreamt that exact experience. And I was in the same place in the dream where I was sitting at in the real world when it happened. And so I had the dream, and it's very normal. I'm in a hotel room, but I've never been to this hotel before. I'm with kids, and some of them I don't even know who they are. I don't recognize their faces. I'm in the dream, and my close friend who I recognized reaches down behind the bed and pulls out this giant hat. And it's like a cartoon hat. It's a really big sombrero. And so it's in the dream, it's like, okay, that's a funny dream. I had some people I know, some people I didn't know. He did something very unusual. And then a few weeks later, it actually happened.
Okay.
And when it happens, at the time of my life, I would feel like time, it was like deja vu. Time would feel like it kind of stops. And this bizarre energy would just go through my whole body.
Yes.
And I would feel like I just stepped out of space. Like I was in like a vacuum. After this vibration goes through my body, it feels like I'm in a vacuum, and time froze for a moment. Now, when I felt like time froze, everyone was still moving and acting, but I was disassociated. It's like I froze, but time continued.
Okay.
So I had experiences like that happen about 6 or 7 times. And I even told my mother, who I could talk about with these things, I told her about the dreams when they would happen. So when it first started happening, it happened twice. And the second time it happened, I didn't tell anybody yet. And I talked to my mom about it. I said, I think I'm having these premonitional dreams. And I explained what was happening. And then after that, whenever I would have a unique dream that felt very real, I would tell her about it. And so she knew that I dreamt it. And then sometimes I'd come home and be like, guess what? Remember I told you I dreamt about the other day? That actually happened tonight. So that happened for a period of a few years, these premonitional dreams. And it was always just given to me. It was nothing I ever tried to do. I wasn't trying to create them. It was just experiences that happened when I was sleeping at night. So yeah, I've had different things, but I've never had an interest in pursuing them. They were always, given to me, kind of like how channeling was given to me. So for
And then
me,
after a while, they just disappeared. They stopped.
yeah, after a period of time, they happened for about 2 or 3 years, from about 14 to 16. Then they stopped. I have had a few periodically since that time. Sometimes I'll dream about a person that's going to be an important person in my life, and then I'll meet them a few weeks later. Yeah, but see, the way I live now is I can look at things consciously into the future, and I can see things.
So you see already who you're going to meet, who's going to be important for you.
Yeah, if I ask. So I have done things like that. So there were certain time frames in my life where I asked about when's something going to happen, or who's it going to be, and I'm shown things. So instead of it coming through a subconscious dream state, I actually ask and I perceive it consciously. But often I don't want to know all the details of my life. It helps me to make big decisions. It helps me to understand things. But I often don't want to know what everything's going to be, so I don't ask about it. My experience is we can all do this because the energy of life is creating things before it becomes physical. Right? So we can learn, the more we learn to experience ourselves as these non-physical energy bodies, the more we realize how life works and how creation happens, how something is born non-physically and then it moves into the physical reality. So essentially I experience it consciously now, so I don't have the dreams showing me it anymore. I think that's one way to interpret it.
Okay.
But I have had premonitional dreams periodically for the last 20 years or so, yeah.
Because you can do it now physical, so it disappeared in that way. It was another way to come to you, let's say.
Yeah, just to show me that things exist before they happen because they're being created that way. And we can take our consciousness there and look. Now, it's also important to understand that things are being created. We're creators in this reality. So things happen, and if we cooperate and live in harmony with our higher will, they happen in that precise way. They happen very easily. So I've seen things years ahead of time, and I've been told the month it's going to happen, or usually it's about the month or two. I'll feel, because it's like a feeling knowing. I'll feel like, okay, it'll happen in like, beginning of September, end of August, like the last 2 days of August, right then and there. It'll happen at this time frame. It's like, wow, you can feel it. It's like, yeah, I can feel that. I can see it. I can know it. And then it does. Now, if I have had other experiences where I was told that it was going to happen then, or shown that it was going to happen then, and then 3 months before that time came, I looked again and I was shown a different time. And I didn't understand why, because it never changed before. So this happened for the first time, I don't know, 2000 and, trying to remember, 2005? No, yeah, 2005 maybe. I forget my years. 2003. So the first time it happened, and it changed. It changed its time. It was still the same event, but it changed its time. I didn't understand why. The event actually ended up happening, and it happened at the time that was the new time, precisely. Happened at that time.
Okay.
And then I talked to the person I was involved with it, and they told me that they originally planned to meet me 3 months earlier. And that was the time that I heard for the first 2 years. I was waiting for 2 years. And I was told that. I was told, yeah, I was going to meet you in March, right? But instead I met you in June. And the date that I was told the date changed was at a time in the other person's life. They made a choice in their life. And that choice changed their future. And so they made a choice in December in their life. And when they made that choice, I remember that was the time my intuition changed the date. They made that choice in December. I was supposed to meet them in March, but because they made a choice in December, now that date got moved to June. So it was still going to happen, but how it happened changed because we're all creators. Sometimes people think with fate, it's like completely fixed. But my experience is that we as souls choose to create things together, and that's what's often considered fate. But because we're choosing to create it, our other choices are also going to influence it. So we're the creators of our reality. We're the ones determining these alignments as they happen. And the choices we make can, in fact, change what happens in our future. So I've seen evidence.
But when something happened, you heard it different times. It's not that it came once. That's it. It just repeats all the time.
Yeah. Well, so say I asked for about 2 years because I was desiring a certain experience. I wanted to have this experience. Okay. And I was told, okay, it'll happen in 2 years in March. And it was the end of March, early April. Like that was the time. I was being shown end of March. And I was like, okay. And so for 2 years, I would ask the question every few months. Like, hey, is it still then? Is it still then? Is it still then? And it would stay the same. And then at one point, the answer changed to June. And it felt like, June now, okay. It's like, why June? Wasn't I told March? For 2 years, I was told March. And it says, yes, we understand, and it's changed to June. It's like, okay. I didn't ask why. I just was like, okay, I'll see if it's true. I'll see if it happens this way. And then from that point forward, it always stayed June. Okay. Even when March was coming, I was thinking maybe it'll still be March.
Yeah, yeah.
But March came and went. It didn't happen. And then it happened in June.
But if you would have asked why, they would have told you. Because the people changed their direction, and that's why everything changes.
Yeah, I knew that there were changes going on with the situation, what was involved. I didn't know the specifics. I didn't ask for specifics.
Okay.
I wasn't interested in knowing specifics. This was at a time in my life where my intuition and my inner knowing was still developing compared to where it is now. So I was still testing it. I was still learning about it. I was wanting it to prove itself to me in a sense.
Yeah. Just a little bit playing around with it. Listen, I have one more personal question. Because you say that we create our future now, but if people don't see their future, if they don't have any, if they don't see it, if they don't know where to go, if they don't have their dreams, if they don't choose anything, how can they create them?
Well, seeing the future is not necessary to create because all creation happens in the present. The reason why I have these different abilities that allow me to see the future, for example, is because I've already mastered living in the present to a sufficient level that I then am given higher abilities.
Okay.
So we're here not to get it right. We're here not to see what's going to happen and have the future tell us what to do and tell us how to be. We're here to learn that we're creators. We don't need the future to see the future to create something. In fact, it often gets in the way. There are times where people ask me to tell them about the future, and the higher self will sometimes say, well, we can only tell you this because if we give you more information, you're going to interfere with the process and you're going to make it harder for yourself. Right? Because if I tell you a future and you're going to project your own beliefs on it, then you're going to change how you behave from now until that future, and that could disrupt the future.
Yeah, definitely.
But when we understand, at least my understanding of creating and seeing the future is about aligning with what's happening. It's not about me imposing my will, it's about me aligning in harmony with the experience of life. So how can I move through life in the most harmonious way? Because what I desire is coming to me in the future. So how can I stay in alignment with my desire and express in harmony with my desire so that that future thing does happen? Yeah, I very rarely ask about the future in my own life. I really don't want to know because I want to enjoy the experience of being human. And the experience of being human is about learning how to be a creator in our realities. It's expanding our awareness, our intelligence, and our creative energy. If we emphasize too much what we don't have, so if we emphasize too much what we don't have, we actually interfere with our ability to use what we do have. Exactly. If we think, I don't know what the future is going to be, so I don't know what to do right now, not knowing the future is not the issue. The issue is you don't know yourself well enough. You don't trust yourself. You don't know how your mind works. You don't know how creation works. And that's why we're always looking to somewhere else to tell me who to be, to tell me what to do. I want the future to tell me how to act. I want the future to show me what I should do right now. Right? I want the future to tell me what I should be desiring. Right? Just like human beings give their power away to other people, like their parents, their school teachers, their politicians, and their celebrities. Right? Just like we give our power away to other people, right? We give it away to spiritual ideas as well. Like we talked about earlier, when I get to this dimension, then I'll be happy. And I say, no, you'll be happy when you learn about happiness right now. Right? And you'll get to that dimension when you're ready to get to that dimension. But that you should not be delaying your happiness for some future experience. You should be focused on happiness right now. If a person's focusing on their own happiness and letting themselves express into their lives and interacting and watching how creation works and expanding their idea of themselves to be everything, right, then they're going to have the best futures come to them very, very easily. Because in the present moment, they're living in these higher states of alignment. So I always recommend people to align to themselves. Trust your heart, get to know yourself, be courageous enough to bring yourself into your life as your truth. And understand everything's one, so start to recognize this oneness. Success is not about you forcing your will upon the world, it's about you co-creating and harmonizing with the world around you. It's like a dance, right, rather than a war, right? It's like, how do I dance with life around me to manifest what I want? Because you look at the world, everybody wants the same thing. Everybody wants happiness. So if I'm fighting against everybody else, we're actually all creating suffering. But if I'm cooperating with everybody else, we're all creating happiness. So how can I interact in a harmonious, cooperative way, realizing everything's one, all of life is moving forward in evolution, everything's becoming happier, right? How can I see this big picture and give myself the freedom and the permission to express who I'm into my life? When we express who we are in the present moment, then we're going to start to expand our consciousness, and then we're going to be able to interact with the future and have channeling abilities and all these other things. So when I master my own personality, and I get rid of fear and doubt and selfishness and greed, my energy system opens up, and now I can start receiving higher frequencies and higher dimensions. So when I purify this body, this channel, now I can receive greater energies into myself. Some people, they just want the energies and they don't want to do the work on themselves. They don't want to work with who they are. They just want to be someone else. And the lesson is, no, you have to love yourself. You have to be yourself. You have to create yourself first. And then you can become a greater version of yourself. It's not about replacing me with my higher self. It's about me awakening into my higher self. And a lot of channels, right? We channel other souls into ourselves. That's replacement. And if you look at the physical bodies and the health and the psychology, the psychological state of some people who channel other beings, they're very unhealthy. And they have difficulty integrating the information and the energy of the higher beings they channel, because those channels may not be doing their own work on their own life, right? So some channels, like they step out of their body and let another being come in, and then you receive the other being's information and energy, which is great. You get another perspective and non-physical being's energy and knowledge. It's great. But the channel themselves may not be doing their own work. So we should not have the idea of, I want to escape and become someone else. I want someone else to tell me what to do. It's more constructive to have the idea, I want to learn how to be the best me. I want to make myself greater. I want to become that higher being that's up there with all the other beings that I admire. Right? So not just am I channeling in, but I want to become like that which I'm channeling. Right? And then we actually become greater, and we have better health, and we have psychological well-being. So it's really about our own process of awakening, our own evolution that's really central. And there's lots of different ways that our mind is, escaping that and avoiding that and denying that, such as magic and superheroes and knowing the future. And they all exist.
They always say, work on yourself first, and then you can work on the other. But it's exactly. You explained it really good, that you have to work first at present. That's why everybody always say, live in the present. Out of the present, you can build other things. You can go to other places. But first, we have to go into the present and live together with our bodical or physical body here. And that's that's already a whole work to do. And I think all the rest will come automatically.
It definitely does, automatically. You're right.
Automatically. So as long as you search it and you don't find it, it's because it's not time to open.
Because you're not ready for it. You're not aligned in the energy that can connect with that future experience you want.
Absolutely.
So it's like sometimes I tell people in the higher self channels for people this example, and I find it really helpful. So everybody wants the best romantic partner, right? Or they want the best job, okay? So we'll say you want the best romantic partner, and you say, I want a romantic partner who's intelligent and kind and caring and healthy and into spirituality, right? You want the perfect partner. I say, great, you can have it, right? Now, if you want to attract that person also has to be attracted to you.
Of course.
So do you have the qualities that person would like? Right? Are you kind? Because if you're cruel and you want a kind person, why would the kind person want to date you?
Definitely.
It's like with a job. You want this amazing job that pays you really well, right? Okay, do they want to hire you? Do you have the qualities to live at that vibration to receive that reality? And so if you make yourself greater, then you can have these greater experiences, because life is mirroring you.
Absolutely. You attract the same vibration, the same frequency. It's so obvious. It's totally, I think everything is so perfect around us, and everything just functions totally in equivalence. I don't know this word in English, but it's everything so perfect, and everything what happens is also perfect. So if it doesn't happen, just let it go. It will come if it's there for you.
Align yourself in peace and love and happiness. And
I think it's so obvious. It's so logical. If you think about it, it's so just let it flow, and it will come if it needs to come.
You have to trust in the wisdom, because sometimes we get into doubt and fear because we don't understand this alignment. We don't realize how everything is aligning. We don't see how everything's working. And so we become doubtful and fear-based. But we can keep trusting in the wisdom. And as you trust, you'll keep attracting that which is serving you best. And then you'll start to learn how it all works. Like, we don't need to know all the steps that need to happen for us to be happy. We just can know that I can be happy. And I can let the universe take care of all of these steps.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. That's the way it works. And it's perfect, everything.
Really is.
Fantastic. So, do you want to leave a little extra message, a general message for everybody, for the audience?
Yeah. Well, first, I'd like to thank you, Ilse, for this opportunity to be interviewed by you, to answer your questions, and just have a lot of fun. I enjoyed all the times we got to laugh and all the nice questions.
Yeah. I'm going to pick out some things because we said some stupid things.
So I thank you for this opportunity. I really appreciate it. I know we'll have another interview because we have so many questions. So we'll be doing that soon. Yeah, I'm just really happy to have this opportunity, and thank all the questioners for presenting their questions. It's given me an opportunity just to share some of my experiences and how I look at reality after having been a channel for over 20 years.
Wow.
So thank you all. I hope the information really helps you. Like I said at one point, I hope that some of my answers to the questions not only answered your questions, but also helped you to understand why you're asking those questions, and help you understand yourself as the questioner, because ultimately we're here to understand who we are. And the more we know ourselves, the less questions we have, and the more we just create. So I hope that some answers helped you to find yourself through these questions.
Fantastic. Do you want to say again your social media to the people?
Yeah. So I have a website called channelhigherself.com, and that's my main website. I have a second website called higherselfteachings.com, and that's where you can purchase my guided meditation CDs and also videos from workshops that I've done. In the future, I will be having books published there. I have a website or a YouTube page, again, called Channel Higher Self, and I have over 2,000 YouTube videos, which Ilse talked about from the beginning. You can find me on Facebook, you can find me on Instagram. I just opened an Instagram account, and so I post about every day quotes taken from the Higher Self channelings. So if you want a daily quote of inspiration and guidance, then you can subscribe to my Instagram channel. I also post these on my Facebook page as well. So there's lots of ways to find me, lots of ways to stay in touch.
They can find you everywhere, no? It's fantastic. It's fantastic. So the same thing, what you put in your Instagram is on your Facebook, no?
Yes, yeah, those same images, yeah.
Okay. It has been really a pleasure to receive all your valuable information and share this moment with us, with everybody. Also, it was very interesting. We have loads of questions, like Lincoln said, just for the next video. And we will do more videos with your personal experiences also, and the dreams and everything. That's very interesting. Sorry, that's very interesting also. I expect all the listeners in the next video, in the next talk from the Q&A from Lincoln. And if you like it, put like. And I always say, like if you liked it, and subscribe if you loved it. Loads of light for everyone. Bye.
Goodbye.